Fresh out the frying pan into the fire. Peace and love to all the Moors, all the Muslims, all the Asiatics. Look, you got so much going on right now. So many different distractions going on. So many positive things going on. Shout out to all y'all critical thinkers that's out there. All y'all out there that actually take time to do research. Besides just going what the TV say, social media say. What your personalities are everywhere, what they say. Shout out to all y'all out there that take time to really think for yourself. And this day and age right now, thinking for yourself is one of the best things that you could do. Getting the research done. Getting the facts. When you get that done, you halfway there. Preparation is half the battle, remember? Y'all watched G.I. Joe before, right? Preparation is half the battle. Shout out to all the Muslims worldwide. Happy Holy Day. Look, man. We was talking about this stuff today. About why can't so-called black people come together. Check this out. Y'all heard this thousands of times before, right? Just think about this from another perspective, right? Look. Everybody who identify with so-called black, African American, Indian, Native American, Pan-African, Hebrew Israelite. Do you see where I'm going? You saying you the same people, but you keep misidentifying with different names. You don't have one name. When you talk about Asians, they go under one nationality as far as them being Asian. But then you got like Europeans, right? Hybrids. Hybrid Europeans, they say that they're Europeans. It's only the pale-skinned Europeans that's in the Americas that misidentify as white. The reason why so-called black people can't get together is because they too busy, preoccupied with either they want to be chief, be the man, or they stuck on what they stuck on. And they think what they stuck on is the right thing. They're mentally programmed to stay in a cubicle, in a box, rather than being open-minded and look at all facets of information. This is one of the main reasons that so-called black people can't get together. And then you got COINTELPRO operations. They out here encouraging confusion. They encouraging tribalism. That's a big one. That's a big one with our people. Our people get confused with tribalism. Tribalism is really one of the main reasons that our people fail. It's one of the main reasons because our people got stuck in tribes, identifying with a tribe. That's not always a positive. I'm gonna give you an example of a tribe, right? Like in Iraq, we got gangster disciples, you got black disciples. Both of them is under the 6. So both of them run under the 6. It's the same 6. And don't forget, link it up to more science. The 6 is the hex alpha. And the hex alpha is more science. Right? That's on the 6 side. That's just 2 so-called tribes. They'll say gangs, but they not gangs. That's linked up under the 6. It's plenty of them though, but that's just 2. BDs and GDs, right? Right. So on the other side, like you would say Black Peace Stone Nation. You would say Four Corner Hustlers. Or you would say Latin Kings or something like that. All right. Now, out here in Chicago, those would be considered the ones that go under the 5. They under love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. But when you talk about under the 5, it still branches off from the 5. And GDs and BDs, they branch off the 6. You get what I'm saying? Right. You got so many. You got travelers. You got insanes. You got unknowns. You got all type of shit. You got Latin kings. You got all type of shit. But this is the point. When they say so-called black people ain't never gonna get together. The reason why they keep saying that is they're under the narrative that tribalism is the way to go. Like when they say the 5 and the 6, right? BDs and GDs. You still run under the 6. Love, life, loyalty, knowledge, wisdom, understanding. You under the 6. Your nation is the 6. The 5, you would say the moles, you would say the Latin kings, the vice lords, insanes, etc. You would say they under the 5. But then you would say it like this too though. The ones that's GDs and BDs, they under the 6. The ones that's Black Peace Stone Nation and Vice Lords, ETC, they under the 5. But you still talking about more science. The 5 and the 6 go together. All right, famo. Yes, sir. That's one nation, though. So if you really want to unite, fam, we got to get out of tribes. Ain't nothing wrong with your tribe. But when you talking about actual unity, it ain't nothing wrong with being cool with somebody that's Blackstone or El Rookin or somebody that's Gangster Disciple or somebody that's Blackstone or somebody that's a Black Disciple. You still the same people. It's like cousins, right? You know how you got cousins that's on the other side of the family, but they still your cousins though? Y'all got the same family tree. The tree, if you look outside of just that tribe, it's still your bloodline. Y'all all cousins. That's the thing. You all cousins, fam. So the unity is the bloodline. What bloodline do you come from in the nation? Now you talking. Because you getting out of just tribes and tribalism. You talk about the same people. And I think if you took it like just off so-called gangs, if you took it off that, like the West Coast, they got Bloods and Crips. And they got their own little factions going on with them. But they still repping for Bloods and Crips though. Like you got Bloods and Crips on the East Coast, the West Coast. You know what I'm saying? You got but they got their own thing though. But you still family. You just cousins. Real shit. So a lot of our division be because we've been taught to think like tribes. My tribe, my hood, my this, my that. Nah. Start thinking about that as the bloodline. The bloodline is Moabite. The bloodline is Carthaginian. The bloodline is Canaanite. Think of it like bloodlines. Alright? So if we looked at unity, your first unity, you got to connect with your bloodline. That's your unity. Your unity is what's your bloodline. And then you start talking about reality. You start talking about unity. You start talking about nationality. That's the thing. So it don't matter if they a Black Peace Stone. It don't matter if they GD. Y'all still cousins though. You just run with a different tribe. You feel me? If you Cherokee and this other person might be a Seminole, you got a different tribe, but y'all still part of the same bloodline. That's the thing. See, the tribalism is where we got taught to stay at. The tribalism is only a part of the big picture. You feel me? The tribe, that's cool. You repping for your tribe. You repping for Cherokee. You repping for Apache. You repping for a Creek. You repping for a Seminole. That's cool. But what's your bloodline though? Because don't forget, the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, he said he was of Cherokee tribe. Don't forget. Noble Drew Ali, the Prophet, he says he was part Cherokee. But he always repped for the nation. The nation is your nationality. Ding, 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 ding. All right, famo. That's what's going to connect you to the big picture. That's what's going to connect us together with unity. What nation do you have that you can connect to? That's the big picture. So it don't matter if somebody say that they GD, they BD. Y'all still part of the six. It don't matter if they out here talking about they a Black Peace Stone or they talking about they a Vice Lord. What's up, fam? Cool. Yes, sir. They don't matter if they talking about they a Vice Lord. They still under the 5. GDs and BDs, you still under the 6. It's one nation though. So when they talk about Larry Hoover coming home, for sure, on God, bring the old man back home. Because it's about growth and development, fam. That's what it is. It's always growth and development. That's the unity. If somebody out here, they ain't talking about growth and development, and they out here not standing on principles, they not trying to unify. They trying to talk about that tribalism shit to get you confused in the mindset, just stick with your tribe. Nah, that's only a piece of the whole. Shout out to Detroit. Let me know where y'all Moors is at with it. You know what I'm saying? You know the rack up in here. South Side, Wild Hunnets. East Side Crazy, Inglewood. Out west, up north. 313, what up though? Hey. Gaddafi, the one that they try to paint a picture, and be like Gaddafi was such a bad guy. Gaddafi wrote a book called The Green Book. You should check that book out. The Green Book. Shout out to Jersey City. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Anchorage, Alaska. So Gaddafi was on some tribalism is good to an extent. Because if somebody is infected mentally with the tribalism too much, all they would care about is their own little tribe. They wouldn't care about linking up with the nation. So if somebody, again, let's say for instance, hypothetically, somebody is a four corner hustler out here in Chicago, right? You a four corner hustler, so your cousin will be somebody that's a Blackstone. Even though y'all might bang with a different tribe, that don't mean y'all ain't the same people. Y'all cousins. Then this is how wild it be, like when out here in Iraq, you got GDs and you got BDs that's going to war. Whole time, y'all cousins though. You just part of a different tribe. You part of a tribe that call itself a different name, which is Black Disciples. The Gangster Disciples, they over here claiming Gangster Disciple growth and development, but you still cousins to the BDs though, and vice versa. So when you talk about unity with our people, this is why nationality is the order of the day, because the nationality is the bloodline. That's the link up. The link up is, what's your nationality? Oh, you Moorish American? Cool, you family then. That part. Because now you done tied it up with a land that you come from, whether you come from North, Central, South America, or all the islands. The so-called Caribbeans, that's the Americans. Hawaii over there, part of Lemuria over there. Yeah, that's Lemuria over there in the Pacific Ocean. Hawaii is part of the Lemurian Empire. Hawaii. So you can never forget about Honolulu, Hawaii, none of that over there. Easter Island. And don't forget, over there in the so-called Atlantic Ocean, alright, because a lot of people ain't read the literature. Noble Drew Ali's 101s, he says that Atlantis will rise again. These are written in the prophecies and hadiths, written by Noble Drew Ali. Just look it up. He says that Atlantis will rise again. I don't know if you were looking around, but the energy frequency and the vibration is changing. It's a lot of stuff going on. Things are changing in real time. People actually are saying out loud, I feel a difference. I see a difference every day when I wake up. People are not the same as they was yesterday. No, they're not the same. You know why? Because the planet is speeding up. Things are heating up on this planet. It's nothing staying the same no more. So kiss Kansas, bye-bye. Kansas is bye-bye now. What we knew growing up is gone. It's a whole new day and age right now. It's the age of Aquarius right now. It's a whole republic being restored right now. Y'all see how they out here talking about the republic now? How they starting to get away from the democracy? The democracy is demonocracy. That's for the demons. That's what's been running the world. A democracy. U.S. corporation. They want us to stay in democracy and stay in tribalism. Negro, black, and colored. That's the big wake up. That's the wake up. The wake up is getting away from the democracy and attaching ourselves back to our birthrights, which is more. Attaching ourselves back with our inheritance, which is our land. All this land, all the land, all of the land, that's your birthright. The land, the water, the soil, the earth, all that's your birthright. You ain't know that? That's why a lot of these people that's criminals, you got to call them what they are. They don't want you to reconnect with the law. Because once you reconnect with the law, that's going to get your mindset on, hold up. Not only did I not get brought here as a so-called slave, but you trying to tell me that this is my birthright? Yes. Fam, this is your birthright. Don't you realize the land, the water, the soil, the dirt, the diamonds, the minerals, the stones on the planet? This is your birthright. Allah gave us this. It don't belong to us, but we have a birthright to claim it. We the caretakers of this. That's what they don't want our people to wake up to. They want our people to look at this like, we ain't from here. We need to go back over there. We the bottom of the barrel. That's how they want us to think. So then emotions gonna take over. And that's why you got these con artists that's out here perpetuating Indian, Negro, black, and they perpetuating Pan-Africans. This is what they doing. Somebody asks, what's a king to me? Definition. Scott Forsman's Advanced Dictionary. It tells you that a king or a queen, a king or a queen, they're nouns. So they're people. Number one, part of speech. Secondly, a king or a queen, let's just say a king, right? A king is what you would say, a ruler, sovereign. And by definition, if you have not claimed your nationality, you can never be a king, because a king is a ruler of the land. Bing bong. So when you say, I'm glad you wrote that up there. So when somebody says that they're a king, and you ask them, what's your nationality? And they tell you a black man, you're not a king by definition. By definition, you disqualified yourself from being a king. Because kings are rulers of the land. That means you got to have a nationality. See how it always revolves around nationality? In order to have sovereignty, nationality is attached to that. It's not separated. So nationality and sovereignty go together. You cannot separate nationality and sovereignty. So that's why it's no such thing as a sovereign citizen. That shit cap. You feel me? Anybody out here pushing that narrative about sovereign citizen, that shit cap. That shit fraud. Straight fool shit. The same applies to a queen. You cannot say that you can say it, but that shit don't make it real. You say that you a queen, and I ask you, somebody asks you, what's your nationality? And you say, well, I ain't got a nationality. Okay. By the words that came out your mouth, you just said that you are not a queen by definition, because you don't even know your nationality. So that disqualifies you in law from being a queen. Bing bong. So all these dudes and all these women that's out here talking about, I'm a queen. You supposed to do XYZ for me. Nah. Because it's always a question of status. Status is the number one thing. Status. I ain't talking about your bank account. I ain't talking about the drip you wear. I ain't talking about the jewelry you got. I ain't talking about none of that. The car you drive. I ain't talking about none of that. I'm talking about, what is your lawful status on this land? Number one thing. What's your status? Status got something to do with your rank, what your nationality link you up to. That's your status. So your status is your rank or your position in a society. With your nationality, you have a free white person status on these lands, on the planet Earth. That's your status. But here's the thing. Here's the thing, though, about status. If you have not claimed your lawful status as a Moor, then by definition, you are a ward of the state, which means you could be treated with cruelty, capital punishment. You could be treated as an undesirable. Don't nobody got to fuck with you if they don't want to. By definition, I mean, these ain't words that I'm just saying to y'all just to sound like I'm sounding. This shit is law. But you know, law is like kryptonite with our people. They don't want to look in the law book. As much as it's real wild. As much as our people got all these battles with the so-called legal system, it ain't occurred to our people yet to be like, all right, I'm sick of this shit. Let me look in the law book. Let me look up some definitions of law and see what they mean. Let me look some words up and see what they talking about. What they mean. Nah. Our people to be like, they'll play an attorney. They'll play a fake attorney for the day, a fake lawman for the day, and say, I think so-and-so finna get so many years, or this shit gonna get thrown out of court because whatever their opinion is. You gotta make it make sense, though. You gotta make it make sense. So-called Indian. Check this out. Pick up the book, The Torch, from CalifaMedia.com. Go there, pick up that book. Right? Check it out. On the word for all y'all out there that misidentify as an Indian. Check this shit out. The word Indian is a password. I don't know if you finna be ready for this, but you finna get it anyway. Share this to anybody out there who classify themselves and identify as an Indian. Share this beam out with them. Indian is a password that means a GI, government issue, Roman property. That's an Indian. That is the definition, password of an Indian. These lands over here is not India. So by definition, you cannot be an Indian because the name that you claim does not connect you to the land that you live on or you from. You from the Americas, but you misidentifying with a land that you don't come from that land. You come from the Americas. Your birthright is to the Americas, not India. So by definition, you are a government issue piece of property that they could claim as a slave. That's an Indian. So all these people out here running off at the mouth about being a so-called Indian, by definition, that's what you claiming. You claiming to be Roman property. They could do whatever they want to do with you. You're a U.S. citizen, so you're property to the U.S. corporation. Indian, you're property. You have privileges. Just like if you look up the word Indian title, Indian land. Pick up a book called Valentine's Law Dictionary, the 3rd edition. Pick up that book. It's a brown book. It's pretty big. It's like a brown book like this. Valentine's Law Dictionary, 3rd edition. It lay it out in black and white for you. It say Indian lands. Oh, we about to tear shit up. Ooh, he was about to tear his whole cow off. Speed, I ain't going nowhere. But look, so-called Indian lands. These people out here talking about my ancestors left. They got Indian lands, right? This is what they talk like. Indian lands, quote unquote, by definition, it says land that's owned by the U.S. corporation. It says owned by the U.S. Anybody out here telling you and claiming that they're a so-called Indian, not only are you government issue, but you are Roman property, fam. You feel me? You Roman property. So they could do whatever they want to do. They could treat you how the fuck they want to treat you. They could treat you dirty, bogus as hell. They could just tell you anything. That's why nationality got to be declared out your mouth. So I'm doing homeschool, right? Right. Indians was formerly known as Moors. That's another thing that they're not going to tell you. They're not going to tell you that in 1621, the word Indian was substituted for Moor. 1621. Check the receipts out. They ain't going to tell you that, though. They're going to tell you, yeah, just say that you're an Indian. Say that you're an Indian and you good. That's all they're going to tell you. Right? Whole time, look. Islam. Whole time, look. When you look up our people talking about they want unity, this is another reason why there hasn't been no unity. This is what Noble Drew Ali was pumping out. Nationality is the order of the day. That's the unity. Do you notice this summer? Just look around this summer. Just look around. Because now you're going to put your Moorish eyes on. Then you're going to start seeing, like how I was talking about tribes earlier. All of the so-called different countries, right? Those are cousins. So when you talking about, let's say you talking about the island, listen, when you talking about the island of Hispaniola, the Greater Antilles, the Lesser Antilles, you talking about the same people. You talking about, just check this out. How can you have Dominicans and Haitians on one island on separate sides beefing with each other? At one point in time, that island, Hispaniola, they wasn't beefing because they're on one island. Think about how mad that is. The madness of that. They didn't trick people that's from the same island to not like each other. Just let that shit marinate in your head. How y'all from the same island and y'all hate each other? Or y'all don't like each other? Or y'all fighting with each other? Y'all from the same island. You see? It's the technology. They'll have you out here hating your own people. They'll have you out here hating your own people. And the whole time, y'all cousins. Hell no. You cousins. Like I said, Blackstones, that's like a Blackstone not liking a Latin king. Y'all part of y'all cousins. That's like a black disciple in Chicago not liking a gangster disciple, and y'all both disciples. Y'all from the same. You from the same nation. The nation is called the Al Moroccan Empire. That's the nation. Noble Drew Ali said, love instead of hate, right? So loving instead of hating, why would I hate a person who, when the police pull us over, right? Just think about this. When the police fuck with us and pull us over, do you think they sitting back talking about some, oh, I'm talking about without giving them your ID, right? I'm talking about based just off sight alone. You think when the police fuck with us, slave patrol fuck with us, when they pull us over, they thinking in their mind, oh, this is a Haitian, this is a Guatemalan, this is a Mexican, this is a Trinidadian, or this is a black person. All they gonna think about in their mind is that this is a so-called black person. That's all they gonna think in their mind. It's only until you open your mouth up or get them your ID where they put you in the classification. That's what the driver license is for. It's a classifying instrument of slavery. That's all that shit is, G. It's a human trafficking instrument. That's what the driver license is. It's all human trafficking. But if you looking at it on some other type shit, you get pulled over, right? They not out here looking at you like you a different nationality. They looking at you like you're a so-called black person. See? That's all they're thinking about. You say, what are you more African? Why do you focus so much on the Moors? When you talk about, I think from the question that you wrote up there, nothing predates Moorish history. That is a misconception. When our people think like something predates Moorish history, nothing predates Moorish history. Nothing. You don't have anything older than something that's carved in marble, stone, quartz. You have nothing older that's carved in basalt heads. That's all up and down North, Central, South America, and the Atlantis Islands. Nothing is older than that. Did you know they got Moorish pyramids underneath China, Tokyo? This is all documented history. So when you say what predates Moorish history, nothing. This is it. That's a great question though. Nothing predates Moorish history. Nothing. Nothing predates Moorish history. This is why Moors keep talking about Moorish history, because we've been brainwashed by these colonizers to think like there is something before Moorish history. No, it's not. Then I asked, this is what I asked the question. If you run with the story that you're a black person and you got brought over here, your ancestors got brought over here as slaves. Check this out. How did 5 to 15, 20 ton basalt heads get transferred from Africa, so-called Africa? How did they get over here in the Americas? Oh, how'd that happen? How did you transfer basalt heads, castles? How did they get from so-called Africa to the Americas on a boat? How'd they get here? You see, this is why nothing predates Moorish history. Them castles that y'all see all around the world that look like Game of Thrones and all that, all those castles are Moorish architecture. When they talk about Tartarians, they talk about your cousins. Those are Moorish. When they talk about the Atlanteans, those are your cousins. When they talk about the Lemurians, those are your family. That's your cousins. That's older than what you would say is Moorish American, Lemurian, Atlantean. That's older than what you say today, contemporary, as Moorish. But that's ancient culture and technology. You see? You got to know who European, you got to know through etymology what the word European come from. You see? You got to know what European is. This is another form of colonization and brainwashing. This is what helps the cognitive dissonance grow inside your brain. So somebody wrote up there that the word European, the Europeans supplied us with names. I'm glad you wrote that, because you about to get this work. When you say European, Europeans' origin is not the pale-skinned people. You see that? This is why you got to go to etymology, which is the origin of all words and languages. Etymology is a science. Etymology will show you that European, so-called European, those were dark-skinned people first. Bing bong. Europeans were dark-skinned complexion. When you talk about all of the people that was in Europe first, the origins of Europe, those were dark complexion. That was not pale-skinned people. So in the movies, they'll show you that it was pale-skinned Europeans that was over there in Europe. That didn't happen like that at all. That didn't happen like that at all. There were no, listen to me. There were no pale-skinned kings or queens ruling in Europe at all. It didn't happen. It didn't happen. It didn't happen. This is why you got to do your own research. The more research you go back, the further you're going to see their complexion was dark. Even Adolf was dark. The Grimaldis, dark complexion. Oh, that's over there. But the origin is etymology. This is what you got to go to the etymology for. So when we think of the word, European, we think that European just means the pale-skinned people. No. This is why they're not just European. That's why you call them pale-skinned hybrids. They wasn't ruling shit. This is why you gotta do your history. When you say the word European, we've been brainwashed to think that you talking about so-called white people. Them not original Europeans. They got brought over there because they was coming out of caves and as Slavs, and the Transportation Act. This is where we tried to civilize them and ship them off. Some of them can't be civilized. Some pale-skinned Europeans, to this day, they don't even take showers with towels. To this day. To this day. To this day. Think about it like this. The next time you watch a movie, right? The next time you watch a movie, pay attention to somebody that shoot a movie in the shower. Like when they show like when they got a scene of a hybrid European in the shower, just pay attention. It's in the details. Pay attention. The next time you watch a movie and you see a scene where a hybrid European is in the shower, pay attention. They don't have a towel washing they self off. You gotta pay attention. They telling you. A lot of them to this day, they still have Neanderthal ways. To this day. To this day, though. A lot of them, to this day, they still got Neanderthal traits. Because don't forget, they are part Neanderthal. This is why Noble Drew Ali said, do not mix, amalgamate, or marry within their nation. This is why he said that. This is why Noble Drew Ali said that. Because they have Neanderthal blood in their bodies. The Rh positive gene, that's in pale-skinned Europeans. That's not found in Moorish people. This is like when one of our women, when a Moorish woman, so-called black woman, when she's in a so-called a mixed relationship, and she, give y'all some science. When she's in a interrelationship or a mixed relationship, right? So-called interracial relationship. Because it's only one race. When a Moorish man or Moorish woman, let's just keep it on a woman though. So when a so-called black woman is in an interracial relationship with a hybrid European, she has to take a series of shots in her body because our genes are dominant. Hybrid Europeans, they have recessive genes. So what does that mean? That means if she doesn't take this series of shots, I'm talking about all so-called black women, when they have an interracial relationship with a hybrid European, the doctor has to give them procedures, a series of shots, because our DNA is dominant. Hybrid Europeans have recessive Rh positive DNA, Neanderthal DNA. So, if she doesn't take them shots, the mutation will be destroyed naturally inside of her womb. Again, dominant versus recessive. Who you think gonna win? This is why every so-called interracial relationship, the so-called black woman has to take shots so that baby, the mutation of the recessive Rh positive DNA won't be killed. You understand? See, I might kick a series off with this type of shit. I might kick a series off with this because it really need to start really getting out there more. I see Moors out there, they doing their thing. You feel me? Need to start bringing this issue to the forefront even more. Put more pressure out there. Even Asians, when our women are impregnated with a so-called Asian, they have Neanderthal DNA too. The only people on the planet who do not have the Rh positive chimpanzee gene are Moorish people. That's just facts. Them just facts. Them just facts. You might not like them. Do the research on them. Look them up yourself. So when you talk about unity, this is what Noble Drew Ali was talking about. He was talking about this. He was talking about this. He was talking about nationality is the order of the day. Why do you think it's so powerful when our people get together and we share love? Why do you think it's so powerful? Because we're the first. And it's so powerful because since we are the first and we're in our nationality, fam, you talking about divine masculine energy linking up with divine feminine energy. It's nothing stronger than that. Nothing. That's why they want to push and preach so much disharmony, because they know the dark ones, they know how powerful our people are when we operating in positive energy. This is why they promote so much negative shit. They promote so much negative shit because they want the opposite of positive. They want negative, full-blown chaos. Destroy each other. And they sit back, raking in millions, billions, trillions, watching us fall. It's a game. It's a game to them. But when you focus on nature, nationality, birthright, inheritance, then you start to see what's what. You know what I'm saying? When you get out of tribalism, fam, when you get out of tribalism and you start looking at nationhood, like what bloodline do you come from? So-called like this right here. I was doing homeschool with my babies, right? And we was going over the book I was telling y'all about called The Torch, CalifaMedia.com. It's a chapter in there where it's talking about contracts. This is what our people have real problems with. But we changing that shit right now because we uplifting and following humanity. It's each one teach one. Right? Our people don't understand because we never been taught. The two main archetypes of contracts are oral and written contracts. Our people don't understand contract law. Contract law can be an oral contract. You can speak it or you can write it out. This is why people drop the ball at, because we ain't been taught. But now we starting to uplift this shit. We starting to learn. That's what it is. So when you talk about what can we do right now to unify and speed things up within our people right now, start learning about contracts. You might be like, what the fuck I need to learn about contracts for like that? I know when I go apply for a job or some shit or something like that, I know to sign my name off, and that's a written contract, right? That's a written contract. But there's another kind of contract. The other kind of contract is called an oral contract. It's what you say out your mouth. Ding, 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 ding. This is why our people fumble the ball at. Right here. This is so crucial to start getting into the know right now. If you want unity, the words that come out your mouth have to change. And they'll be like, what you mean they gotta change? They gotta start being precise. They have to start being in law. Take, for instance, this right here. We don't understand when you say something out your mouth, you're making an oral contract. It doesn't matter if you know that you're making a contract or not. This is why this is why I said there are two archetypes of contracts: oral and written. We can get the written contract because you sign off on it, right? We don't understand, understand, and overstand the oral part of a contract. Like when you say out your mouth that you a so-called black woman or black man or an Indian or any Pan-African or anything else that's a misnomer, you're making an oral contract because you're making that contract out loud to the universe. Whether it doesn't matter if you realize it or not. This is the danger of contracts. But this is the love of contracts too. You got to know the distinction between positive law and negative law. Out your mouth, when you say you're a so-called black man or woman, you're making a contract orally with your words. So people are going to hold you accountable to what you said, not what you meant. That's an oral contract. It's like somebody minus them shaking your hand. Like our people, we familiar with a handshake for a contract. We familiar with a written contract. We not We ain't been taught oral contracts exist to this day. To this day, oral contracts. So look, when you misidentify as an Indian, a black person, and you say that you are that, by law, by definition, you've consented and agreed to be treated as what you said you was. Color of law kicks in. So when color of law kick in, they're going to hold you to what you associated yourself to be. You associate yourself to be treated as 3/5 of a man and woman. You understand? So once you have made that oral contract, oral contracts exist. Oral contracts exist. You might not think that though, but they do. This is why this is where we've been dropping the ball at, fam. Cause you like, man, I didn't know I wasn't supposed to say that. You can't use ignorance of the law is no excuse. So when you talk about, man, I didn't know I was supposed to say that. It don't matter if you knew or not. You should have knew. You should have knew. It don't matter if you said you ain't know. I'ma hold you to that law. Period. Hold up. I'ma hold you to that law, fam. I'ma hold you to that. And that's what it is. That's what it is. You say your grandma taught you about oral contracts? That's what's up. Oral contracts is a real thing. It's a real thing, fam. And they tell us this, but they'll be like, when they read you your Miranda rights, they'll tell you, anything you say can and will be used against you in the court of law. They say that. So that don't just mean when you getting handcuffs put on your ass. That means all the time. Anything you say can and will be used against you in law. And court is the planet. It's the planet. Real shit. So you talk about unity, link up with your bloodline. Your bloodline is Moorish. That's your bloodline, Moorish American. That's the unity. It's not going to come through tribalism. It's not going to come because you saying you a Cherokee. You a Seminole. You a Choctaw. It ain't going to come like that. Because if it would have worked like that already, it would have been worked. It ain't going to work like that. Noble Drew Ali said he was part Cherokee, but he didn't rep for Cherokee. He rep for the Moorish Americans. That's the unity. Because tribalism is not a nation. Tribes are not nations. This is why our people they stuck in tribalism. They think by them saying they in a tribe that they protected by law. No, sir. You only protected with your nation. This is why the Nation of Islam is a fraud and it don't work. Because the Nation of Islam is not a land. You understand? The Nation of Islam is not an actual land on earth. They're not a nation. They're an organization. It's a difference. Pan-Africa is a theory. It's not an actual land on the planet. That's why that shit ain't gonna work. Hebrew is a language. It's not a nation on the planet. That's why it don't work. India is over there in Asia. India is a country in the continent of Asia, not America. That's why that shit ain't gonna work. And that's what we got problems at, connecting them dots. All you gotta do is look at common sense. You're from America because your ancestors can trace themselves back to America, right? You're not from India. Nobody in your family is from India. So how could you be Indian and American at the same time? How could a pale-skinned European ever be African? Think about it. If you just slow it down and think about it, you will answer your own questions. You can't be Indian and American at the same time. Neither one of your parents are from India. So how could you be Indian anyway? India is a country in Asia. Think about it, fam. But, you know, the unity, people play on unity, though. They play on unity. They like, man, we need to unify. We need to unify. They don't really want to unify. They don't really want to unify. They play with the word unity to get people to give out donations to their organizations. And keep in mind, they're not nations. That's why they shit don't work. That's why they always asking for donations. You get it? That's how it happens, G. You said, how do I get on your live? I want to talk to you. Something is wrong with the live right now. IG tweaking. Every time I try to bring somebody on the beam out, they always tweak and say, can't be accepted or some other type shit. I don't know. IG tweak. I don't know. I know nationality is the order of the day, though. I know that shit. Oh, God. Nationality is the order of the day. Exactly. They not even like the Moor just wrote up there. Indians ain't even Indians. They Hindus. They Hindustani. That ain't the name of the land over there. The name of the land over there is Hindustan or Bharat. Next time you go into a Dunkin' Donuts or a gas station, ask the person behind the counter. Just be like, hey, you from Hindustan, right? Watch their expression on their face. That shit gonna tweak you out, though. You gonna be like, I knew it. Yeah. Shout out to the BX Islam. Yeah, man. Because look at it like this then. Look at it like this. You know, like out here in Iraq, where y'all at, right? Wherever you at out there, they're trying to tell us this is how in our face this bullshit is. Think of it like this. If you from wherever you from, New York, Cali, Florida, Georgia, wherever you from, how do you gotta pay if you got a so-called state ID? Why would you have to renew your state ID if you never left the state? Yeah. Do you see the scam, fam? On everything, do y'all see the fucking scam? Do y'all see the scam? Why do you gotta fucking renew a state ID if you never left your state every 4 years? This how you know that shit cap. This how you know this shit cap. I gotta renew my state ID if I never left the state that I'm from. What? The U.S. corporation, remember, it's called human trafficking. Keep us paying for shit, being depressed, spending up our energy, running around, wasting time instead of focusing on our shit. Prophet Noble Drew Ali said, y'all gonna be taxed to death. To death. Until we the people decide, let's put all these differences about tribes and shit. Let's put all this tribalism shit to the side. Let's focus on the nation. What's the nation? The nation is that all red 5-point green star flag. That's the empire. So let's focus on the empire. What's good for the empire? Fuck paying all these taxes to these foreigner colonizers that's here. Fuck paying all these taxes that's here. We paying taxes to foreigners, but if you look up in the Constitution, it says what? Article 1, Section 10. You know, our people don't like to read though. Article 1, Section 10. What does it say? Article 8. Article 1, Section 8. What does it say? Only Congress can levy taxes. So who the fuck is the IRS? On God, Cujo. We gonna show national unity in Chicago on June 20th. This month. This month. If you could pull up to Chicago, you could pull up out here. Get out here. June 20th or the 21st. Pull up out here. You gonna see unity then. You gonna see national unity then. Shit. That shit gonna be lit. On everything. Bust. But yeah, Moors, that's where they want to keep us though. You say they not giving you the notifications? Yeah, man. They not gonna show the notifications because they trying to low key. They shadow ban this page crazy. You said where at? It's gonna be in Chicago. Alright, link up with my brother Cujo. He's on here right now. Link up with him. He'll give you the information. Go to khalifamedia.com. You can see the information there. Sister Yelly, she got the details, the itinerary. But Cujo L, Grand Sheik, he's on here right now. There he is right there. He right there. Hit more up. You know what I'm saying? He'll fill you in on the itinerary. Straight up. The flyer is on this page. I'm finna tag him right here. The flyer is on this page. Yeah, Morris. But see, we gotta be ready. See, what's happening right now is the Europeans, the hybrid Europeans, and the democracy is crumbling. The dirty Moors are crumbling right now. The dirty Moors are crumbling right now. And the ones who study law, who enforce law, who exercise principles, exercise standards, them gonna be the ones who gonna be stepping right up to fill in the positions right now. That's what's happening right now though. I mean, it's really like a lovely thing though. It's like a lovely destruction happening right now with the U.S. corporation. All that shit falling. All that shit falling right now. It's like a lovely destruction right now. Cause you witnessing the fall of demons that's been human trafficking the Aboriginal indigenous people on our lands. These are our lands. So you watching them fall. You watching literally the destruction of the U.S. corporation. That's a lovely thing. That's a lovely thing. That's nothing to be like, man, I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't know what we gonna do. Nah. Just hold fast to law. Hold fast to your common sense. You say, Moore say he won 3 cases with no lawyer. Only law. Yes, sir. Ourself law and master. You see? It's a lovely thing happening right now. The fall of the democracy. That's what's happening. Moore's been saying it. Studied Moore's been saying. We're telling, like I said, we all cousins. Somewhere down the line, we all cousins. We all distant relatives. Somewhere down the line. You want unity? Because they'll be like, man, why can't we ever get no black unity? You can't get no black unity because black is not a nation. Black is not it's not a nationality. Black is not a landmass. Black has no national flag. Therefore, you can never have unity if you continue to say that you're a black person. Bing bong. You can never have unity. There is no Latino, Hispanic, Indian flag. It don't exist. The only way our people can ever link up is to first link up with your nation. Your nation is the Al-Moroccan Empire. That's your nation. I don't care if you from wherever you from, fam. You from what? You from over there in Kansas, California. You from Illinois. You from New York. You from Michigan, fam. You part of the Al-Moroccan Empire. You family. There's room for you. You have a birthright that you ain't claimed yet. So-called black people will never get unity if they continue to say that they black, Indian, Native American, Hebrew. You never gonna have unity. You gotta let that shit go. Let that shit die. Remember how so-called Jesus, remember how he said you were gonna be born again? All you gotta do is look up the scriptures. You gonna be born again, right? What's gonna be born again is your mind. Your brain gonna be born again. Your thought patterns gonna be born again. How you speak is gonna be born again. You're not gonna be saying the same shit you used to say before you died. What died? What died is your belief in the fuck shit. That's what died. Your belief in one of these days it's gonna work. One of these days we gonna get our salvation, our 40 acres and a mule. One of these days. It ain't meant for that, fam. It ain't meant for that. Don't you know Christ returning is your God consciousness reawakening inside of you? That's Christ returning, fam. Gee. When they talk about Christ returning, it's not in a literal sense of somebody coming down out of the sky. That's not just it. Christ returning is your Christ consciousness in your body, your mind and your body reconnecting itself. That's the Christ returning. Not a so-called white man coming out of the sky telling you what to do now. That's not Christ returning. Christ returning is your consciousness snapping back and returning to God. That's the Christ return, Islam. That's your return into Christ right there. You Christ. You Christ, fam. But you ain't returned to your Christ-like mentality, though. Your Christ-like self. Your Christ-like self is the self of I self-law and master. That's your returning to Christ. It's not a place that you need to go outside of you. You just got to realize you are Christ because you reconnecting yourself back up with Allah because you've been disconnected from the neck up. Your consciousness was cut off from the neck up. Your nationality, your creed was cut off from the neck up. So physically, you look like you put together, but your God consciousness is cut off from the neck up. Meaning your nationality, your creed, your mentality of thinking like I'm a generator, operator, and destroyer at the same time. Yeah. That's your God consciousness. That's your Christ returning. You returning back to your God self. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Right. Heaven is visible. I can look and see heaven all around. And just like the good brother C.M. Bay said, how could you say that you love a God that you can't see, but you hate your brother and sister that you see every day? Islam. That shit strong. How can you say you love God, but you can't see God? But you hate your own brother and sister that you see every day, as if they're not from God. Crazy, fam. Crazy. I'm talking about that shit crazy. How do you hate your own brother and sister? You see them every day. You ain't seen God yet, so-called God. You ain't seen the Creator yet. You just got ideas of the Creator. But you walking around seeing the creation of Allah every day. Every day. This is why the Prophet Noble Drew Ali said to love instead of hate. You hate because that's what we've been taught. We've been taught to hate each other when the unity is you want for your brother or your sister like you want for yourself. That's the unity. That's the return of Christ. Real shit. The return of Christ is you want for your brother and sister as you will want for yourself. That's the Christ return. Not being on some, man, I'm glad that shit ain't happened to me. Shit, fuck that. I'm glad that wasn't me. Or be like, oh, I hate this motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? I hate this motherfucker. See? Do you know how much that shit aids you? Like when somebody hates somebody, or somebody is always angry, look at their face. Their face always got a scowl on it. It actually, if we talking about physiology, it make you look old faster. It ages you. But when you dealing with love keeps you young. Oh God. Love keeps you young. Do you know that? When you love keeps you young. Love keeps you fresh. That's why you ever notice how elders, they seem to get more energy like when they're around their grandbabies. You will see them get up. You will see them walk around. They playing with their grandbabies because their grandbabies have love. Pure love. And the elders, they looking at their grandbabies as pure love. You get it? So when the elders see their grandchildren and they walking around with their grandchildren, they doing shit that you was like, hey, what you doing? Because the love energizes them. Yeah. The love energizes the elders, as well as it energizes the children. This is why you gotta have elders, and you gotta have children, and you gotta have adults having that love. It's love. It's 3 phases of life. 3 of them. It's mathematics. Mathematics, man. And you wonder why, like, man, why do grandpa, why do you do, because you'll be like this. You'll be like, man, when I was growing up, you wasn't all nice like that with me. You know how your mama and your daddy, they so nice, super nice to your babies, right? And you like, man, Mom, you wasn't like that with me. You wouldn't let me get away with stuff like that. You didn't give me candy like that, right? You didn't do stuff for me like that. Why? Why? They loved you, right? Yeah. But It's a different kind of love when your mama, which is a grandmama, an elder, when she sees her grandbaby, it's like you all over again. So your mama and your daddy, they gonna show a different kind of love to your babies. That's why when your babies come around their grandmother and grandfather, your grandmama and grandfather they're so extra loving. This is why, because the love energizes them. This is why you should lead with love, because pure love is pure energy. That's why they don't promote pure love. They promote a fantasy out here where they got people thinking that money is love. Money is not love. And the love for money is the root of all evil. It's the love for money. It ain't the money itself. It's the love of money. That's why they pushing a reversed love on the population. They want people to be out here in love with money, in love with that shit. That's not pure love, though. That's a fantasy. That's an illusion. That's not reality, fam. Pure love is free. Pure love is free, fam. Do you know that? Pure love is free. You ain't got to pay for that shit. And it'd be like, our nature is love, though. When you really think about it, right? When you think about, like, when your baby was born, your baby was crying, your baby was hollering for milk and whatever else. Your baby couldn't pay you to change the diaper. Your baby couldn't give you no money to feed the baby. But you, as a mother and a father, when you picked your baby up or looked at your baby, it's pure love there, right? You didn't pay for nothing. Your baby can't pay you at all. What keeps you doing what you doing for your baby? Pure love. Real shit. Think about it. Your baby can't pay you nothing when you have a baby. But you love your baby so much that you love your baby to take care of your baby. So your baby really living for free because love is free. That part. So magnify that energy right there with your grandparents. Magnify that energy right there with their parents and their parents. Those are your ancestors. So do you know how much love you got? You know your ancestors looking at you with that much love on steroids. And you out here thinking that money is love. No, sir. Money ain't love. Nah. Love is free. Love is free, fam. When the last time you did something like showed love to somebody without them paying you? You just did it to do it. You just did it to do it. You ain't had no strings attached. None of that shit. You just did something out of kindness of your heart. You just did it to do it. That's love. And that's what's being restored right now. And all the fuck shit is being destroyed. Like the love of money. Money, so-called money is a tool. That's it. That's all so-called money is. It's just a means in this society to get shit. That's all. When they take the so-called money away, what you gonna do then? As far as you ain't gonna be able to buy her nothing like that. You ain't gonna be able to buy her shit. So what you gonna show her that you got love and you care about her if you can't buy her shit? What other quality and character? What do you have? What kind of traits and principles do you have to keep your girl attention without buying her some shit? Ooh, it got quiet. It got quiet right there. What kind of what kind of character do you got that's gonna keep a woman interested in you if you can't buy her nothing? Ooh, don't get quiet. Don't get quiet, G. How you gonna keep her attention without buying her something? Because in this society, they got it out here like you gotta buy the woman something. What you gonna do when you can't buy her nothing? How you gonna keep her attention? How you gonna keep her stimulated when you can't buy her shit? It's just you and her. What you gonna do interesting to keep her on you and not somebody else? Think about it. Think about it. Huh? Huh? Think about it. I tell you what though, Moors, it's our time now. So if you about unity, if you really about unity, nationality is where it's at. Nationality is the order of the day. Nationality is going to link you back to a land you come from. And your nationality is free. Yo, your nationality is free. You ain't got to pay for it. And can't nobody buy it off you. It's free. Don't give it away, though. Don't give it away. You can abandon your nationality by calling yourself a black woman, a black man. You can abandon your nationality by calling yourself an Indian, Pan-African, or Hebrew. You can abandon your nationality, but it's free. You know what I'm saying? It's free. The question is, are you going to claim it or not? Are you going to claim your nationality or not? That's where it's at. That's where the unity at. You know what I mean? Because when you go to a so-called Caribbean fest, what they got out there? They got them flags out there repping their country, repping their nation. But keep in mind, those countries that they fly in, those are tribes. Yes, they're countries, but those are still tribes. Those are tribes. Haitians, Jamaicans, them tribes. Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, them tribes. What's the nation though? What's the empire? The empire is the all red 5-point green star. That's the flag of the empire. You see, we got to start thinking about empire, not just tribe. It's cool that you got your tribe. That's what's up. You got your tribe. You bang with Cherokee. You bang with Choctaw. You bang with your Dominican flag. You bang with your Puerto Rican flag. You bang with your, you know what I'm saying, your Brazilian flag. That's cool, but that's a tribe. The link up for all of the Moorish Americans together, North, Central, South, all of the islands, the link up is the Al Moroccan flag. That's the flag of the empire. So you can rep your flag for sure. But get in the mindset of the empire. That's where it's at. I'm gonna holler at y'all more on the next one though. Each one teach one. Our self-law and master. Much love, Morris. This is where it's at. June 20th, Chicago. Pull up. Peace.